Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me carefully because I'm about to tell you something that might just change the way you see yourself in love, in relationships, in life. I want you to really pay attention because a lot of people have been walking around thinking they're not enough, thinking they're replaceable, thinking that what they have to offer doesn't matter. But I'm here to tell you something very simple. Trust me, you are the only one they want. Yes, you heard me right. The one person they truly see, the one person they truly desire, the one person that keeps them awake at night thinking, how did I get so lucky? That person is you. And I know some of you are shaking your heads right now saying, no, not me. I'm not special enough. Well, I'm going to tell you something. Stop doubting yourself. Stop questioning your worth. You bring something to the table no one else can. And if you don't see it, it's not because it's not there, it's because you've been looking through the wrong lens. Let me break it down for you in a way that's easy to understand. Love isn't complicated. Attraction isn't about playing games or being someone you're not. It's about confidence, authenticity, and presence. And when you start walking in your own power, when you start owning the fact that you are irreplaceable, that's when people around you start seeing it too. They notice your energy. They notice your smile. They notice the way you light up a room just by being in it. And trust me, they're thinking, I don't want anybody else. I want them. Now, I'm not saying relationships are always easy. No, they're not. But I am saying that if you carry yourself with the knowledge that you are the prize, that you are the one worth chasing, everything changes. Suddenly, the fear of being left behind disappears. Suddenly, the games stop. Suddenly, you start attracting the right kind of attention, the kind that doesn't make you question your value, but instead affirms it. And I promise you, the moment you stop begging for validation, the moment you stop trying to prove yourself, that's the moment people start showing up to prove themselves to you. Listen to me, because this is where everything begins. Your unique value is irreplaceable, and I mean that in every sense of the word. There is nobody walking this earth who has your exact combination of personality, experiences, energy, and presence. Nobody sees the world through your eyes. Nobody laughs the way you laugh. Nobody carries themselves with your exact rhythm and tone. You bring a flavor, a vibe, a light to every room you step into that is entirely yours. And the truth is, when you start recognizing that, you stop feeling like you have to compete with anyone. Stop feeling like you have to compare yourself. Stop feeling like someone else could ever do it better than you. There is a reason people are drawn to you. There is a reason their attention finds its way to you in a crowded room. There is a reason they think about you when they're alone, because your essence is magnetic in a way that cannot be duplicated. So many people go through life thinking they're interchangeable, thinking that if they slip up, someone else will just take their place. But that's a lie. You are not a placeholder. You are not a backup plan. You are not one option among many. You are a singular force of value. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you start showing up in life differently. When you carry yourself with the understanding that you are irreplaceable, your energy shifts and people notice. Your actions start to reflect confidence and self-respect. Your words carry weight. Your presence demands attention. And most importantly, you stop bending over backward to be what someone else thinks you should be, because you finally understand that nobody else can replace your originality, your uniqueness, your light. And here's the thing: recognizing your own value doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean thinking you're better than everyone else. It just means you understand that your worth is non-negotiable, that your energy is limited, and that you deserve to be appreciated fully for exactly who you are. People can feel it when you know your worth. They can feel it in the way you hold your head high, in the way you speak, in the way you laugh without hesitation. And when they sense that, they begin to show up differently. They begin to respect your time, your boundaries, and your energy. They begin to realize that losing you is not an option, that missing out on you is a mistake they cannot afford. Too many people give their power away because they underestimate the effect they have on others. They hide their light because they're afraid of rejection, or they dim themselves to make someone else comfortable. But when you embrace the truth that your unique value is irreplaceable, you stop doing that. You start showing up fully. You start living without apology. You start loving yourself in ways that make it impossible for anyone else not to notice. And it's that self awareness, that recognition of your irreplaceable worth that makes people see you in a new light, that makes them realize that the love, the attention, the care they are seeking can only come from you, that they are drawn to you in ways they may not even fully understand, because you are one of a kind and no one else can ever fill your space. Confidence attracts, doubt repels, and this is one of the most powerful truths you will ever need to understand in your relationships and in life. You see, people can sense energy, they can feel it without you saying a single word. When you walk into a room with your head held high, your shoulders back, your chest open, you're broadcasting to the world that you know your worth. That confidence is magnetic. It draws people in because it signals security, stability, and self assuredness. On the other hand, when you second guess yourself, when you constantly look to others for approval, when you hesitate and overthink every word, every move, every decision, it sends a completely different message. It tells people that you don't fully believe in yourself, that your value is negotiable, and that's exactly the energy that pushes people away without you even realizing it. Confidence doesn't mean you have to be loud or flashy or showy. It doesn't mean you have to have all the answers or pretend to be perfect. True confidence comes from knowing who you are and being comfortable in your own skin. It's the calm in the middle of chaos, the steadiness that people can rely on. When you act with that kind of confidence, you stop needing constant validation because you already understand your worth internally. And that is incredibly attractive. People are drawn to certainty. They are drawn to someone who doesn't wobble under pressure, who doesn't bend at every breeze of opinion. That certainty makes them feel safe. It makes them feel seen. It makes them feel like they're in the presence of someone who is unshakable in their value. Doubt, on the other hand, is a repellent. When you doubt yourself, you begin to overcompensate. You try too hard to please. You question every reaction, every message, every laugh. You worry about what they're thinking, about whether they really like you, about whether they might leave. And that energy, it shows. It's in the tone of your voice, in the hesitation of your steps, in the way you over-explain yourself. And instead of attracting them closer, it pushes them away. People want someone who knows they're wanted, someone who moves through life with certainty and grace, someone who doesn't apologize for being themselves. That is why confidence is not just attractive, it's essential. It's not just a skill, it's a magnet that pulls the right people into your life while gently nudging the wrong ones away. The beautiful part about confidence is that it's contagious. When you stand in your own power, when you own your energy, when you trust yourself, it encourages others to rise to that same level of respect and admiration. Suddenly, people start showing up differently. They start treating you differently. They stop testing you in ways that drain your energy, and they start appreciating the fullness of who you are. And it doesn't have to be forced. It doesn't have to be loud. It's in the subtle cues, in the way you hold yourself, in the way you speak, in the way you respond to life. Every little act of confidence communicates the same message. You are worthy, you are desired, you are the one they want, and there is no substitute. Stop seeking validation outside yourself, because this is one of the biggest traps people fall into when it comes to relationships. So many of us go through life looking for someone to tell us we're enough, someone to approve of our choices, someone to affirm that we're lovable and worthy. And I get it. It feels good in the moment when someone notices, when someone compliments, when someone says, "You're amazing." But here's the truth. The moment you make your worth dependent on someone else, you hand over your power. You give them control over how you feel, how you show up, and even how you think about yourself. And let me tell you, no one else is qualified to define your value. Only you hold that authority. And the sooner you realize it, the sooner your life and your relationships will shift in ways you've been waiting for. When you rely on external validation, you start to live in a state of constant approval seeking. You say yes when you want to say no. You overextend yourself to please people who may not even deserve your energy, and you begin to measure your happiness and success by how others respond to you. That creates a cycle of insecurity that no one can break for you, and it makes you forget that the most important relationship you will ever have is with yourself. Confidence, self-respect, and self-love don't come from someone else's words or actions, they come from within. And once you start grounding yourself in that internal validation, your entire presence transforms. People can sense it. They feel the difference between someone who knows their worth and someone who constantly needs reassurance. And the contrast is powerful. Authenticity is born from self-validation. When you stop trying to impress, when you stop bending to what you think others expect, when you stop living in fear of judgment, you start showing up as the real you. And there's nothing more magnetic than someone who is unapologetically themselves. You begin to attract the right kind of people, people who appreciate your energy, your quirks, your thoughts, your presence without you having to change a thing. You no longer chase, no longer beg, no longer compromise your essence. Instead, you exist fully and boldly in your own space, and the right people naturally gravitate toward that. Here's the catch. Self-validation doesn't mean you ignore feedback or never grow. It doesn't mean you become rigid or unwilling to improve. It means that you weigh others' opinions without letting them dictate your worth. You can listen, learn, and adapt without questioning whether you deserve love or attention. You can set boundaries without fear, speak your truth without hesitation, and take up space without apology. And the beautiful thing about this is that when you no longer depend on someone else to tell you that you're enough, you become untouchable in the sense that your value is undeniable. People start to recognize it, appreciate it, and yes, desire it because they can feel the strength, the security, the stability that comes from someone who validates themselves first. When you embrace the power of self-validation, you stop seeking permission to be loved, to be heard, to be noticed. You stop doubting whether someone will stay or leave because you know your worth doesn't fluctuate based on external attention. And that confidence, that authenticity, that inner certainty creates an aura that is irresistible. It shifts the dynamic from you chasing them to them recognizing that you are the prize, that they are lucky to have you, and that there is no substitute for your energy, your love, your presence. The power of presence is something most people overlook, but it is one of the most compelling forces in relationships and in life. Presence is not just about physically being somewhere. It's about the way you occupy space, the energy you carry, and the attention you give to the people and moments around you. When you are fully present, truly engaged, and completely yourself, you send a signal that is undeniable. You are confident, you are grounded, and you are the one worth noticing. People can feel presence. They don't need you to tell them. They can sense it in your posture, your eye contact, your tone, your laughter, even in the pauses of your speech. And when you start harnessing that power, you begin to influence the way people see you, the way they feel about you, and the way they respond to you in ways that are subtle but profound. Too many people move through life distracted, half engaged, or constantly looking at their phones, thinking about what's next, or worrying about what others think. And when that happens, their presence is diluted. People feel that lack of energy, that absence of focus, and they unconsciously look elsewhere for what they can't get from you. But when you bring full attention and energy into the room, when you focus on the moment and on the people around you, you become magnetic. Your presence makes people feel valued, seen, and important. It communicates that you are not just physically there, but mentally and emotionally invested, and that makes an unforgettable impression. Being present is also about owning your space without apology. It's about walking into a room with awareness that your energy matters, your voice matters, and your actions matter. You don't need to dominate the room or demand attention. You simply need to exist fully and authentically, and people will naturally gravitate toward you. Presence is about clarity and communication, authenticity and emotion, and confidence in your own identity. It's in the way you laugh, the way you listen, the way you respond, not just with words, but with energy. And when people sense that energy, they are drawn to it because it offers stability and security, a kind of magnetic certainty that you are grounded in yourself and your worth. Another aspect of presence is consistency. It's not just about showing up once and leaving a mark. It's about consistently being that person who radiates energy, authenticity, and self-assuredness. When you are consistently present, people start to rely on that. They start to notice it and they start to value it. Your presence becomes a benchmark, a standard that others can't ignore, and it distinguishes you from everyone else. Presence also allows you to build deeper connections because when you are truly there, you are listening, observing, and engaging in a way that creates trust, intimacy, and loyalty. When you embrace the power of presence, you stop fading into the background and you stop letting others define your impact. You become someone people notice, remember, and prioritize, not because you demand it, but because your energy and authenticity make it impossible not to. You create an aura that pulls people in, that makes them pay attention, that makes them realize that the love, the attention, and the connection they seek can only come from someone who is fully and unapologetically present, and that person is you. Love isn't a game, it's recognition. And this is something so many people completely misunderstand. Too often, we treat love like it's about chasing, manipulating, or trying to prove ourselves worthy of someone else's attention. We play small, we overcomplicate, we overanalyze every text, every smile, every gesture, thinking that love is about strategy or timing. But the truth is, love is never about tricks or manipulation. It's about being seen, understood, and valued for exactly who you are. When someone truly wants you, when someone truly desires you, they recognize your essence without you having to prove anything. They see your heart, your energy, your presence, and they respond to it because it resonates with something inside them. Recognition is the cornerstone of real connection. And when you understand that, everything else falls into place. The challenge is that people often look for love in all the wrong ways. They look for love in approval, in attention, in words, in gestures that are not aligned with authenticity. And because of that, they end up feeling like they are constantly competing for affection, constantly striving for validation, constantly questioning if they are enough. But real love, the kind that is lasting and fulfilling, doesn't work that way. It is rooted in recognition. It is about someone noticing your value without you having to sell it, without you having to beg for it, without you having to manipulate circumstances to get it. When someone truly sees you, they recognize the uniqueness that you bring to the table, and that recognition creates desire, respect, and commitment. Understanding this changes the way you approach relationships. You stop overcomplicating. You stop bending yourself into shapes you think someone else wants. You stop worrying about whether they are testing you or if they might leave. Recognition is about clarity. And clarity comes from knowing that if someone truly wants you, they will show up for you. They will pursue you. They will make space for you. And they will not attempt to replace you with someone else. That is why it is so important to understand your own value first, because you cannot expect recognition from others if you do not recognize your own worth. When you are clear on what you bring and confident in your presence, others have no choice but to recognize it too. And that is when love becomes effortless, powerful, and undeniable. The beauty of love as recognition is that it is inclusive of your full self. It doesn't ask you to hide your quirks, your flaws, your passions, or your dreams. It sees all of that and values it. It is drawn to authenticity because authenticity signals that you are whole, that you are confident, and that you are worthy of being desired. The moment you start trying to fit someone else's mold, you dilute that recognition, you dilute your own energy, and you risk attracting the wrong people who are chasing a version of you that isn't real. But when you show up fully, when you radiate who you truly are, people are compelled to notice, compelled to value, and compelled to desire the very essence that is uniquely yours. Love as recognition also teaches patience and discernment. It helps you understand that not everyone will see you for what you are, and that's okay. The right people will, and they will act accordingly. The wrong ones won't, and you don't need them to. Recognition is powerful because it eliminates the games, the doubt, the overthinking, and replaces it with clarity. When you start living with this understanding, you stop chasing what is not meant for you, you stop bending for what is not true, and you start attracting what is real, what is meaningful, and what honors the unique, irreplaceable person that you are. Trust and let go. This is where most people stumble. And it is the final piece of the puzzle when it comes to understanding that you are the one they want. So many of us live in fear, constantly worrying, overanalyzing, and trying to control outcomes in our relationships. We want reassurance. We want guarantees. We want someone to prove to us that they care, that they will stay, that they will choose us above everyone else. And while wanting reassurance is natural, clinging to it, overthinking it, and trying to force it only creates tension, doubt, and resistance. Trust is the antidote to that. Trust in yourself, trust in your worth, and trust in the fact that the right people will recognize your value and act accordingly. Letting go doesn't mean giving up or being passive. It means releasing the need to control and understanding that the energy you put out into the world will bring the right people to you at the right time. When you trust and let go, you stop chasing. You stop begging for attention or validation. You stop playing games or testing people because you understand that your value is non-negotiable. Trust allows you to step into your own power and carry yourself with ease and grace. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing that you are enough and that anyone who truly wants you will see that and respond naturally. Letting go also opens space for authenticity. You no longer feel the need to perform, to manipulate, or to prove yourself. You simply exist fully, boldly, and unapologetically, and that presence alone is magnetic. People feel it, they notice it. And when someone sees that you are confident in your worth and in your value, they begin to rise to match that energy, recognizing that they are in the presence of someone who is irreplaceable, someone they cannot and do not want to replace. The act of trusting is a form of self-respect. It tells the world, and most importantly yourself, that you are worthy of patience, worthy of loyalty, worthy of love that is not forced or coerced. When you let go of control, you also let go of unnecessary stress, doubt, and anxiety. You create room for clarity, for connection, and for genuine love to manifest. It also helps you set healthy boundaries because trust begins with self-trust. When you know your value and trust your instincts, you are able to recognize who deserves your energy and who does not. You stop wasting time on people who cannot or will not meet you at your level, and instead, you attract those who naturally align with your energy and who recognize your worth without hesitation. Letting go is not a one-time decision, it is a daily practice. It is choosing to release fear, doubt, and insecurity every time they creep in. It is choosing to focus on your growth, your energy, and your presence rather than on trying to control someone else's choices. When you make this choice consistently, you demonstrate that your love and attention are not cheap or negotiable. They are sacred and reserved for those who truly recognize your value. And the most powerful part is that by trusting and letting go, you become untouchable in your worth. You signal to the world that you are the prize, that your energy is unique, and that You are someone they cannot and do not want to lose, creating an aura of undeniable magnetism that naturally draws the right people toward you.